I believe in facts, but there's a lot of facts in this building that I can't explain.
There's probably an equal amount of tragedy and love inside of this building. This was built during 1907, was commissioned on Jefferson Davis's birthday in 1908. So it's been around for, 107, 108 years. Definitely a lot of people have died here over the years. A lot of people that came here stayed to the point that they could no longer care for themselves. So it's been some tragedy, but definitely a lot of people that were here caring for them over the years.
Well, this building, a long time ago was used as a home for widows of men who served in the Civil War. When they came home from the Civil War, many of the men married quite young brides, and some of them outlived their husbands by many years. So each of the little rooms in the building was a bedroom. And the women lived here and they died here. There was actually a morgue under the building where they put the bodies till they could decide where to bury them. So a lot of people died in this building, and all that energy went somewhere. So I'm guessing that the ghosts, or whoever they are, probably are disturbed by the fact that there's business going on and people talking and walking in the halls and people in their bedrooms and, who knows. But I suspect it was just the fact we were disturbing the energy in the building.
I would come in if I was in the office after hours. The hair in the back of my neck would get kind of stand-uppy, and I would think I could see things, and so I made it a habit to never be in the building. If I was in the building after 5, I locked my door, and I was always out of the building by 8.
There are books written about this building. There are a lot of stories that are told, so spirits and supernatural powers in the world. So I'd say yes, they could reside here.
Well, let me tell you a story. It happened to me here in this building several years ago. We had a Xerox machine down the hall, and every afternoon somebody was turning it off at 4 o'clock. Well, we all worked till 5 or 6, and so we couldn't figure out who was turning the machine off. So one day, Celia Hughes and I went down and said, we're just going to stand here, find out who's turning this machine off. So we went down there. We were standing there about 4 o'clock coming up. And we got to visiting and not paying any attention, and we just looked away like that just for a second. And the Xerox machine went and turned itself off. Except this is an old machine and it doesn't have a timer on it. You have to turn it off manually. And I have no explanation who was turning off the Xerox machine, because you had to physically flip the switch, and whoever was turning it off waited till I looked away and did it. Spooked me, because I thought I was standing there, My background is in science. I was a scientist, so I pretty much believe in facts that I can prove in a laboratory, and I have no explanation how it happened. But we asked politely for it to never happen again, and it worked.
When I first moved in upstairs, I was in an office that nobody was in. It has no windows. It's at the end of the hallway. And so I thought, well, I'll take that room. And there's one little window that overlooks another room that used to be the gymnasium. So I had all these little wind-up toys and all these little toys because I was doing a children's festival, and I lined them all up on the window. And I went about trying to unpack my office and everything. And so I locked the door, I went home, I came in the next day, and all of the toys were thrown onto the floor. I was like, okay. So I went downstairs and I said, what's the history of this building? And they said, oh, you're in the office of the director. And he was not very well liked. So I went back upstairs and I went into my room and I said, I am here to help you. And I'm going to put my toys back up in the windowsill, and I'd like you to leave them on my windowsill. And they never got thrown off the windowsill again.
You have to think back, 1908 probably wouldn't have been originally electricity in this building. There would definitely have not been air conditioning. And of course, back in those days, you would have needed some place to put the bodies. So consequently, just like a root cellar or a ice box or whatever they dug down in a basement below ground area.
Well, I didn't know there was a morgue here until one of the previous managers was taking photographs for a grant that she was writing. And she came breathless into my office to show me the photographs that she had just gotten from Kodak. The photographs were filled with ectoplasm. And that's when we found out that actually that was the morgue, and that was where they had put the bodies before they buried them.
In the old days, they didn't treat people with special needs like they do today. So people lived in this building who had special needs as well. And supposedly there were things that went on in the back building that you might not like to talk about. I don't know if that's true or not, but it would be very disturbing to me if actually there were young people or people with special needs who ever got punished in that building or treated inappropriately. But it was a long time ago, before people really understood what special needs are. So I just best let that chapter be closed.
The back building of here is an interesting building. It has its own history. When I first started here, like I said, I was here a long time ago, that building was completely decrepit. I just went in and I looked around, but I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I came out. And then, of course, did more research and found out that back building had a story of its own, connected to the building that we were officing in. And it wasn't a very nice story.
There's energy in your living body, and when you die, that energy goes somewhere. Now, is that spirit a ghost? Does it go into the atmosphere? Does it go back somewhere else? I don't know, but perhaps some of the spirits of the people who used to live here and who died here are still hanging around. They have no place to go.
We did have an interesting group that came in that the Gray Panthers asked to come in. So they brought some psychics in, and they're the ones who discovered the supposed spirits of the folks from the Austin State Hospital. And that was an interesting day when they were in the building, because the fire alarm kept going off all day long. The girl that they were working with was about 8 years old. She was the supposed medium who was moving them on. How many ghosts are in the building? I don't know, it's hard to say. We've had people report children. I've heard children running up and down the hallways and laughing, but I have not heard that in a long time. That I feel that it's very probable that something is here. I have no idea what it is. I don't think we need to banish the ghosts. I don't think they cause any harm. I think they bring value to the building. It's interesting, and they have a right, just like everyone else has a right to exist.